the American president specifically, I would say we should probably teach basic economics in high school so people understand how economies function. And I think we should teach people to analyze what's happening on a global scale before you just blame everything that's happening on the current president of your country. What's the second biggest reason that I think Kamala lost the election? I honestly think it's that she's a black woman. I don't think most people would openly admit that they would never vote for a black woman, but I think for rural white voters especially, they just do not think that black women are fit for positions of power. I think it's easy to get into liberal or leftist echo chambers where it seems ridiculous.
Yeah, but the people that are doing that are, the people that might feel that way are people that are, for other reasons, already voting for Trump.
That anyone would ever choose to vote for someone based on their race or their gender, but unfortunately, a lot of America is just not as progressive as we wish it would be. And I think in the privacy of the voting booth, a lot of Americans showed that racism and misogyny are still alive and well in this country.
I think that's pretty. That's there. That is there, and that's why a lot of Trump supporters were able to be mobilized on sexist messaging or racist messaging or whatever. But to say that it was like a decisive factor is probably wrong.
Sure, a lot of people will get defensive over what I'm saying, and they'll say that they would never choose who they vote for because they're racist or misogynistic. But I think these days, racism and misogyny are usually more subconscious, and a lot of times it manifests as people just
switch to the Google Fi Wireless Flexible
vibes from the bumbling, incoherent insurrectionist who has been held liable for raping a woman. Then I think you need to take a long look at yourself in the mirror. And I know that this is identity politics or whatever, but I think in general, if you want to figure out what is a good progressive choice to make,
okay, but the problem is that the biggest problem for Democrats was extremely low turnout, and people that are motivated because of, like you said, how precarious their lives were under Trump. Like these are like by far the biggest problems. If you want to talk about like okay, did racism and sexism have anything to do with the low turnout for Kamala Harris? Maybe slightly, but it probably not as much.
You should look to what black women are doing, and 92% of black women voted for Kamala. And it's been really depressing seeing all of
okay. I do whatever black women tell me to.
The black women who feel devastated by this election because they allow themselves to feel hope for a change, and I'm just sorry that we all let you down. The third biggest reason I think
this is a message for the black women out there. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Kamala lost this election is...
Did you vote for Trump?
Her campaign just did not excite Democratic voters. Millions less Democrats came out to vote for Kamala than came out to vote for Biden. I just don't think most Democrats were super excited to vote for someone who bragged about being endorsed by Dick Cheney, one of the most evil politicians in modern American history. I don't think people I don't think it looked great, but I don't think that was going to be like, I don't think that's the reason people were like, you know what? No. I don't think so. I don't think it was a big deal. Democratic voters were excited by her wanting the world's most lethal military, or her talking about how she wanted to be tough on the border, and the majority of Democratic voters actually don't want to keep endlessly supporting Israel if they keep bombing Gaza. In my opinion, she did not focus enough on supporting unions or expanding healthcare or taxing the 1%, and she refused to criticize Joe Biden whatsoever, even though people clearly wanted her to distance herself from his administration.
That wouldn't have worked. She's vice president. You said yourself. Like, what do people know about it? What do people know? You're talking to people that don't know anything about politics. What the fuck are you going to say? Oh, yeah, I disagree with the president, says the vice president. Democrats thought they could win this election by appealing to moderates and common sense Republicans who are anti-Trump, but the truth is 94% of Republicans are totally fine with voting for Trump no matter what he says or does, so trying to appeal to these people just was not a winning strategy. I just don't think that most people wanted a milquetoast neoliberal candidate who spent a bunch of her time kowtowing to Republicans. They wanted someone who would actually excite them and promise change, and not just more of the status quo. And unfortunately, focusing most of your campaign on how bad Trump is instead of focusing on how you are personally going to change things was not a winning strategy. I don't know why people have this idea in their head about like American politics as something that's like an accumulation of a bunch of people that are looking over policies and looking over messaging or whatever. Like most of this shit for most people goes right over their head. I'm sorry. It's just true. Go talk to your fucking neighbor about politics. No one cares about that, bro.
No one cares about that.
I think Obama was so popular because he ran on the promise of change. We have now seen the public reject Hillary, reject Biden, and reject Kamala Harris, so I just do not think that this strategy of electing moderate Democrats is working. And I'm worried that Democrats are going to see that Kamala lost and they're going to move even further to the right, which I do not think will work. Trump.
But why? Like, what's the actual logic behind that? Someone like Steelman it for me. What's the actual logic behind that?
Trump has shown that you actually can win elections by exciting people, appealing to your base, and promising change. John McCain and Mitt Romney were milquetoast neocons that the American people didn't want, and Hillary, Biden, and Kamala were milquetoast neoliberals that the American people didn't want. So
Behind what? Behind the idea that the response from Democrats from this is to be moving further to the right? Instead of more towards working class rhetoric and stuff like that.
In 2028, I pray to God that it is finally time to run someone like Bernie Sanders, who is not afraid to appeal to the working class and stand up against the billionaires that run this country. I think that if the Democratic Party keeps moving to the right, they're just going to keep trying to appeal to people who would vote for someone like Trump anyway. I saw this tweet from a liberal that perfectly encapsulates my problem with liberals. CNN has a story titled, "Where the Harris Campaign Went Wrong." Nope, I won't read it. Harris ran a great campaign. The story should be titled, "Where the American People Went Wrong." What? Are you fucking kidding me? The job of politicians is to appeal to the American people. If you just blame the American...
There's a concerted effort from a wing of the party to move right, but there's an opposed effort, as you say. Well, that's sort of what the thing that I'm seeing right now. And I'm pretty agnostic about the whole thing, about whatever direction they end up going in. But one of the things that I think deserves a little bit of attention is that one of the largest narratives right now is that of explaining what happened with Democrats is that the Democrats have abandoned the working class. That is like the largest narrative right now that's getting a lot of attention on all over social media to corporate media to everything. That is like the largest narrative that's happening right now. The fact that that is an emergent narrative at this point kind of speaks to some sort of movement for Democrats in general trying to deal with and acknowledge those sorts of things.
People for not voting for you, instead of adjusting your strategy to appeal to them more, then you're just going to keep losing. If your campaign didn't appeal to people, then it was
It's an irrelevant thing. It's not about their political position that wins or loses. It's that they aren't exciting and simply don't have anything interesting. I think that there's a couple ways to look. I think that there's a couple ways to look at this, and I feel like you're going to have like the Democratic Party is not just simply the Democratic Party. There's a lot of it's a lot more varied than that. Female Unix, thanks for gifting a sub. I appreciate that. Where you have so imagine this, where you have a situation where you have Democrats that are with an increasingly trying to reach across the aisle in a dynamic that has more and more Republicans to try and pass basically fucking anything. Right? You have you'll probably have more Democrats that are trying to reach across the aisle, and that would end up probably giving the image that Democrats are moving further to the right, is that you have situations like that, right? And then you'll probably have another side to this that are going to be basically not about like reaching across the aisle, but trying to change public perception about the Democrats that might be leaning more like populist or whatever. And how that ends up actually showing itself, like what people actually end up seeing from the Democrats in response to that, could look like a situation where the Democrats are moving further to the right, or it could look like a situation where the Democrats are moving more towards the worker-centered like populist angle. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to coalesce into an image. I guess we'll have to see.
A bad campaign and you failed at your job. This is how democracy works. This high and mighty liberal attitude that they're so much smarter and more enlightened than the American people and it's their fault if they don't vote for them is going to be the death of the Democratic Party. Yes, I am also upset with a lot of American people. I wish that the American public was more educated and less misogynistic and racist. But with the way democracy works, you still have to appeal to these people to get their votes. And the best way to do that is to actually address the material conditions of the working class and show that Democrats actually care about them. Let me be real for a second. The left is supposed to be the side that cares about the working class, but we have done an absolutely terrible job at appealing to the working class. And this goes for both liberals and leftists. If we want to stop failing...
I hate it when people start using language like we when talking about very complex political systems. The moment that people start talking about we, and trying to, it's almost as if you're trying to use motivation as a like you're trying to motivate people on the basis of a guilt that is irrelevant to their position or their actions. And that like guilt-centered motivation. That same with like when he like centered like black women and then said we have let you down or whatever. Like that is insane and stupid. That is not how these things. That is not how any of this works. Period. And trying to do this guilt-based motivation probably, I think, usually ends up being a situation where somebody is actually trying to position themselves as like, you know, if you were the first person to say, we need to take accountability, we have left people, we were wrong or whatever. I think that says more about your ego than it does about any sort of political analysis of like what needs to be done now or whatever. And the fact that like shame and guilt is something that's being centered politically is pathetic.
In the future, we need to get better at appealing to the working class. Yes, part of the reason the right wing appeals to the working class is because they pump billions of dollars into promoting right wing propaganda. But part of the reason they appeal to the working class is they don't treat them like they're idiots and they don't act like they're inherently more enlightened.
Yes, they do. That's the base assumption. Yes, they do. That is the base assumption, is that they're idiots. Why are we pretending? Why are we pretending? What is this role play? No, they don't. Yes, they do. You're an idiot, which is why you think otherwise. They literally, the base assumption is that Republicans are retarded. That's the base assumption for all of their messaging. All the campaign messaging is the base assumption they are retarded. Like, look at Pi in chat, right? This is someone who voted for Trump and then says, no, he does not treat us like idiots, and then copy paste a message that says 4 years Trump baby. Like, this is somebody that has like 60 IQ. Obviously, the way that you're going to be targeting people on the right is with the base assumption that they're retarded. And if you look at any of their campaign messaging, that's exactly what it is. We're going to build an iron dome around the United States. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. This is centering the guilt for people on the left. This is about centering the guilt.
Than the dollars into promoting right-wing propaganda. But part of the reason they appeal to the working class is they don't treat them like they're idiots and they don't act like they're inherently more enlightened than them. If the left wants to stop losing, it has to get better at appealing to the working class. And I'm sorry, but that includes appealing to young white men. I understand that the last thing a lot of people want to hear right now is how much more we need to appeal to young white men after they just voted to take a bunch of minorities' rights away. But this is just the reality.
Oh my God, the centering of the identity politics. After the first point that he made about how like the major motivating factor for the election is the fact that people felt like they were more precarious under Biden and felt like they were less precarious under Trump. And then immediately going to, we weren't listening to the minorities in our country, we have let them down, etc.
We need to figure out how to stop young men from being radical.
One sec, my dog's freaking out. Sorry.
Radicalized into fascism. And to do that, you have to take minorities' rights away. But this is just the reality. We need to figure out how to stop young men from being radicalized into fascism. And to do that, you have to appeal to them. And I'm absolutely not telling—
You're definitely not appealing to them by saying that we need to whip ourselves and we need to take accountability for the fact that we have left minorities behind and that the black women are really sad about us, the white leftists who have not stood up and done the most for them or whatever. You are not appealing to anybody like this. This is a circle jerk. You're masturbating right now and it's gross.
Women to go start dating Republican men or something. Right now, you absolutely need to prioritize your own safety. But especially men on the left need to step the fuck up and
there, right here.
start appealing to young men, because we
That's not appealing to young men.
see what happens when you don't do this. I'm sorry, but we need our own versions of Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate and Elon Musk, except not terrible people. We need way
Except people that are constantly going to be fucking wagging your fucking finger at the white men for not listening to the black women enough or what. Stop it, bro. Jesus Christ.
more men on the left to step up and start showing young men that we genuinely care about them, while also not being afraid to hold young men accountable for their actions. I think Bernie was the perfect example of someone who appealed to working class men while still standing up for women's rights, and I think we need more candidates like him in the future. Let me make this abundantly clear. If the left doesn't start doing a better job at appealing to men, we are fucked. I mean, we might already be fucked because of the results of this election, but we will be extra fucked. And again, this does not mean I'm telling the women in my audience to go out and start spending time with Trump supporters, but especially to any men who are watching this, it is time to start showing other young men that there is a better way forward than the Republican Party that actually does not give a fuck about them. We need young men to understand that the Republican Party only gives a fuck about billionaires. It does not give a fuck about them. In the past few days, I've seen a bunch of popular tweets saying,
We need more bourgeois celebrities. Yeah, it's stupid. It's really fucking dumb. It's really, really dumb. And a lot of the centering about like, oh, we need to have more like podcast people on the left or whatever. It's like, no, actually, I think the thing that you need is that you need actual like politically organized people that people can see, that people can look out and see that people are politically organized, that people are there fighting for their interests, etc. That's the kind of thing that you need to see. Not just the fact that you have, like, sure, it's fun. Everyone wants, listen, everyone already wants to be a fucking podcaster. Everyone already wants to fucking be these things. Okay, go get some money for that. Go get subsidized. Good luck. No, Jesus. We need more people who want to be famous. We need more people who want to be famous and talk on the internet. That's what we need.
things like, I hope the male loneliness epidemic claims way more victims. And I'm sorry, but I just do not.
Wow.
It doesn't help that we have leftists who see masculinity as an inherently evil thing. You can be a manly man without being a regressive asshole. Can we make being a Chad based again?
You can think about those things, and you can think about like the messaging or whatever, and the way that you start treating identity, blah 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 blah. But it's what you're going to see from people is it's going to be emergent of whatever social groups they're a part of, or whatever is on social media or whatever. You can think about those things, and you can actualize those ideas or whatever. But the idea, and there is a lot to be said about that like focusing on like what this guy is doing here, Mr. Beard or whatever the fuck his name is talking about like we need to have this like shared guilt centered around our identity and stuff like that. Like that shit needs to die. That shit needs to fucking disappear. Do I not have any mods in YouTube that can fucking clean out these fucking retard fucking Trump supporters that are coming in just copying and pasting the same shit? Do I not have a single fucking mod? No, Brooks, you're a mod. Why did destroy these people? This shit needs to die. Who wants to be a mod on YouTube? I'll mod you. That pie dude was in here for like fucking 30 minutes. Probably not that long. Make me a mod kit? You're pretty new though, right? What if you're like super woke and soy? Sunday trusts you? That doesn't help. Sunday super woke and soy too. Okay, I'll figure it out.
The male loneliness epidemic claims way more victims. And I'm sorry, but I just do not think it helps the left's cause to tell young men that we hope they kill themselves because they're so lonely. I also don't think that women need to solve the male
Okay, stop talking about we and stop trying to take accountability for fucking crazy people on the internet.
Loneliness epidemic by dating terrible men.
It's like, imagine if I pulled up a fucking screenshot of like a Nazi, like calling for a Holocaust or something, and then I say something like, we need to do better. Like, what the fuck? Stop it. All right, Cal, you can be, you seem, okay, that's fine. All 'em. 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 '
Mostly, I think that men need to start building stronger bonds and community with other men in the way that women tend to do. And
Just pick someone randomly. Danny, I like you. I like you, Danny. You're here. You're moderator now too. Okay.
instead of just saying, oh well, who cares that you're lonely, I hope you kill yourself, I think we should explain to them that one of the main reasons men are so lonely is the exploitation from the upper class, which is causing men to become more isolated from each other. If we are human beings who have empathy...
Oh my god, we need better voices on the left, dude. We do. He's right about that. He's right about that. We do need better voices on the left. You know what? I take back everything I said. He's completely right. We need better voices on the left.
and care for